Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
All right, let's get into it. Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan. This is Jake.
This is Fleric.
This is Mac.
And welcome to the inaugural Grand Sumo Breakdown Miscellaneous Hall of Fame of Whatever We Want episode, or for your ease and convenience, the GSBHoFoWWW.
GSBHoFoSoWWW.
I think there was supposed to be an H in there, but yeah, I dig it.
GSBHoFoWWW. Yes, we are starting our own Hall of Fame of, as you understand it, whatever the heck we want. It's not because if we did the Hall of Fame of sumo wrestlers, okay, the Yokozuna are in, and then maybe we debate.
We're done. Okay,
we did it.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, the Yokozuna are in, and then maybe some Ozeki. Shodai, no, but some Ozeki.
Shodai, no. Talk to Keisho. Let's talk.
Kaio, Tochiyazuma, Goto
Goedo?
Shogaku, Goedo for Goedo, absolutely, right?
Yes,
Ryan?
but wait,
Yeah,
fame
Goedo.
or shame? Aha.
No. Oh, that's right, because we are doing a Hall of Fame and Hall of Shame. So basically what this amounts to is we just want to take some individual moments. Mostly, I think it's going to be individual moments that we think deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And how we are going to do this, each one of us is going to nominate a moment that we think deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. We are going to discuss each of those items, and then at the end, we are going to induct two of those moments into the Grand Sumo Breakdown Miscellaneous Hall of Fame of Whatever We Want. And then at the end, there is also the GSBHoSoWWW, the Grand Sumo Breakdown
I like how he added the S.
Miscellaneous Hall of Shame of Whatever We Want. Because there's nothing we love more than pointing and laughing at what is sure to be inductee Kakuryu whiffing kick, landing
You
on his
seem
ass
so sure
That
of
one's mine.
yourself.
and ending his career.
Spoiler alert, that one's mine. That's my
All right,
nominee.
Is this going to be like a hallway, or are we going to actually engrave this onto a stone, like sumo
Ooh.
style?
I think we start on a hallway, as none of us have gotten the skills of like stone etching yet. I think we practice it up because we don't want it to look all shoddy and roughshod. We've seen the Yokozuna stone. We want it to look good.
I would prefer like
Wow.
Shade on the Yokozuna stone.
Holy
would-
crap,
yeah,
Ryan.
yeah.
I did it. That
Wow.
moment that belongs in the Grand Sumo Breakdown Hall of Shame.
Hall of Grand Sumo Breakdown Hall of Fame
Shame,
moments.
yes.
Where's
Shame.
Septa Unella when you need her? Shame. Shame.
Because that was a terrible joke, and that the Yokozuna stone absolutely gorgeous. I'm just saying we could meet that standard.
They don't have a lawyer for it, Ryan. You don't have to like apologize
we know
for the
of.
joke.
I know. I just those thoughts were made in jest. They are not my actual thoughts. I'm a funny man, and so I made.
Hashtag cancel Ryan.
Oh God.
It's long overdue.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like you said, though, we don't want it to look like some shoddy stone that I will refuse to apologize for saying so.
Yeah. So we'll just print off 8.5 by 11s with the moments in like 32 font and Times New Roman and tape it on a wall somewhere.
Yeah, either that or like
Hey.
I think butter knife into drywall also is a pretty pretty
jeez.
classy look.
There you go.
And real quick before we get started, we always do look for like silly ideas like this to talk about like sumo stories and stuff, and this is a great one to just bring up miscellaneous ideas. But got a shout out to our follower Will on Instagram, who pointed out the Hall of Fame specifically as like a type of idea to bring up fun little historical stories to touch on again. So we're gonna look at stuff with, based on the list so far, a lot of recency bias. But
Well, yeah.
The past
But-
5 years, which is when we've been watching sumo. So
Right. but
that makes
we're not
sense.
going to limit ourselves to that. If we come across other historical stories, I've got a couple in mind for next time that I'm hoping to bring up that are a little ways further back. But regardless, fun little stories that may not get their own bonus episode, but they may just get into the GSBHoFoWWW.
All right. Before we dive into inducting our
Another
first-
before?
our first two moments, I want to give a shout out to Sumo Kaboom and their Valentine's Day sexiest Rikishi episode. Always a good listen to Sumo Kaboom, especially when they are lusting after the Rikishi, and you get 55 minutes of it in that episode. So I highly recommend going on and checking that out. And if you do, you'll get a little bit bonus Grand Sumo breakdown content. So stick around and pay attention to that episode.
Sumo podcasters, I found out, technically ineligible.
Dang it.
They didn't
right,
leave us out
dang
on
it.
purpose. It was a technicality.
All right, I'll delete my entry. I do have the
Don't
most
worry.
prediction series wins in Grand Sumo Breakdown history. I thought that was Hall of Fame worth. Oh, I got to retire. And yeah, that.
Yeah, no, you
I
gotta
would like to
retire.
submit my retirement.
Oh, Ryan's voluntarily
That's a-
leaving.
As a quick point of order before we begin the Hall of Fame.
All right, so Mac, why
So
don't you?
I thought you were gonna follow up something there, Jake. I'm like,
Nope,
what?
just
Quick
go.
point of order.
We're just doing it.
Okay, do it live. All right.
Present us our first moment for consideration into the inaugural class of the Grand Sumo
The
Breakdown
first
Hall of Fame.
moment that I submit to your general viewing and auditory pleasure would be way back in the during times of 2020, the year in which many terrible, awful, no good, very bad things did happen in the world. There was one shining, glimmering, beautiful, blubbery moment
That was
when
a
an
hell of a
M-
sentence.
17, no way, no chance Rikishi won the Yusho. And that man's name was Tokushoryu, whose tears brought him straight from the bottom of the Bansuke to the top of our hearts. Bravo, Tokushoryu. Your 14-1 Yusho inspired everything.
Also, is like really good sumo.
Also,
Got
yeah,
to
it was
the
really
top,
good sumo.
yeah.
He beat Takakeisho for the win. I mean, come on.
I will argue with like 6 wins by Tsukiyo Toshi.
Toshi.
Not the greatest of sumo, but a hell of a story, and especially a great moment on day 15. The quality of the sumo can be debated, but he did win those matches.
His
And
only
therefore-
loss was to the gentle giant Kaisei, who, again, I think sums up this moment. The only person Tokushoryu couldn't bring himself to defeat was a man so soft, so gentle, so caring that he just
So
had to
hairy.
give him, yes, also so hairy, but just had to give him that win. He couldn't bring himself to do it. The benevolence of the Yusho winner, Tokushoryu, just sums up this miraculous moment.
The fact that the only loss in that 14-1 is Kaisei is so fitting. it's poetic.
Yeah.
It really is.
Oh
So
man,
before
we'll
you-
bring up big guns right away. I remember this happening. I've sung the praise of this moment so many times. I think there's also like during that time, like his mentor, like unfortunately passed away, and so he was just like, I must keep on
That's right.
winning. I must do this for my mentor. Like at the same time, it was just it's such a nice Hollywood moment. I just thoroughly enjoyed.
And it also stuck in our heads that anybody could literally win this. It created such a schism with the rest of the group where it's like, do we want somebody from the bottom of the Bansuke to win? It's like, well, yes and no. And then it launched the GSB into this whirlwind of emotions where it was 2 versus 2 and just going back and
Yeah.
forth. Like, no, this doesn't fit the narrative.
Did a
Yes,
much
if it's the narrative, this moment was just perfect.
Yeah, the amount has annoyed like both Jake and Brian has been like just fantastic.
Exactly.
That's probably the cherry on top. It's just the best thing ever.
I've come to accept it a little bit more. I mean, I'm not gonna rain on its parade right now and how it personally made me feel. This is a great moment. I think the best thing for this moment is that, like you said, just the unpredictability of it. Like, this was a man who is currently 35 years old. He was 33 years old when this happened, when he won his first career Yusho, and he won his first career Yusho after having been in Juryo for, like, let me count here real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of his last 13 basho before he won this Yusho, he was in Juryo. And before that, I mean, he'd barely had a stretch of 2 straight years where he could stay in the top division all alone. This is a guy who's been yo-yoing from Juryo to Makuuchi since 2012. He doesn't stay in either division for very long. it's just probably the most unpredictable win you could fathom. Just literally the last rank on the Bonsuke, Maegashira 17 West. I mean, there's times where Maegashira 17, that doesn't even exist. Maegashira 16 didn't even exist. You'd have 4 or 5 Ozeki, 2, 3 Yokozuna. We'd only go down to Maegashira 14, 15. And so now we're dragging up these guys that would be like a Juryo or something like that. Maegashira 17 to win the Yusho, just absolutely stunning and incredible. And I think the cherry on top, the pièce de la résistance, were the Fat Man tears. That equals Hall of Fame.
Good.
I think it's telling that the face that he made when he beat Takakeisho to clinch it is still the
It's still there.
It's still the emoticon we have in our Discord chat for expressing shock.
Yeah.
As well as like 3 or 4 other funny Tokushoryu faces that we screen captured from that.
Yes.
I forget who exactly said it. It might have been you, Jake. Like I think both you and Jake and Ryan were kind of like, oh, Tokushoryu might win this thing. You were kind of a little bit miffed on it until like the tears started breaking out at the end. It's like, oh, okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic moment.
Yeah, and just to hammer home my point about how unpredictable it was, like even after he won this Yusho, it's not like the start of, okay, now I'm gonna ramp it up. I'm really gonna start showing my sumo. Less than a year later, he's back down in Juryo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's back down.
He came back up to Makuuchi, and now he's back down in Juryo again.
Yes.
Hey,
But he did.
He knows when he's peaked. Like, he's just like, this is as good as it gets. Let's just let's
did
party
what
it
he had
out.
to
Let's have
do.
a good time.
He won. Nothing left to prove.
Didn't it come out? Oh, I'm gonna be annoyed if this is incorrect and I'm spreading it. But wasn't he like the fastest Yusho winner to get back down to Juryo or something like that?
Yes.
Okay, I am remembering that correctly.
You are correct.
Yeah, won the Yusho in January of 2020, back down in Juryo in March of 2021.
That's pretty quick.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
All
Shall we
right,
take our next nomination?
take it away, Jake.
I am going to use much less flowery language than Mac because the language I speak is cold hard facts. Here's where I would insert a sound bite. Oh, yeah, Flarik, take it away.
That hurts.
Oh, they're too hard. Oh,
No, it's cold. It freezes. My
I
flowers.
am,
My flowers are wilting.
under the weight of my facts.
Ugh.
I am nominating Koto Shogaku's 2016 Yusho,
Ooh.
breaking the streak of 10 years to the Yusho, actually. 10 straight years of 0 Japanese Yusho winners.
Oh crap!
So Tochi Azuma got a Yusho, one of the guys that would be considered an all-time great if it wasn't for his timing that involved Asashoryu, Hakuho, Musashi Maru, and like everybody in the early 2000s.
Oh dang!
But Tochi Azuma got his 3rd and final Yusho in January of 2006. And then nobody but Asashoryu, Hakuho, Haruma Fuji for 10 straight years. You could even toss in the 2 European guys that won Yushos in the interim there. You had Koto Oshu and Baruto. But yeah, nobody from Japan from 2006 until January of 2016. This was like, especially in a sport that is as culturally significant as sumo, that was huge. Like I watched back, Jason's Sumo channel has some videos going back that far. That was like, let's see, do you guys remember exactly which Basho we started watching? Because it was not long after this.
September
2016.
2016.
There you go. So we only missed it by like 4. But yeah, that would have been a crazy way to come into the sport. But regardless,
Goeido Sensho, we didn't know it at the time, but
Yeah,
was
that's
a pretty
true.
crazy way to go. into
That
the
was
sport.
nuts.
you're right. That we didn't have the experience to truly appreciate how, earth-shattering that was, considering who it was at the time. But then again, yeah, I mean, had we gotten started in sumo a few months earlier and saw this Koto Shogaku win, absolutely would not have understood enough to appreciate it at the moment either. But anyways, so quick, let me run through how this Yusho went. Koto Shogaku by this time was already 31 years old, been an Ozeki for over 4 years. So he's kind of at the point where he's like probably on his way out of his peak. Once you're on the wrong side of 30, you're elderly in sumo.
Yeah. You said it. You said the bad words.
Yep. Hey, I am 32 and I know how it is to get out of bed in the morning. So I can't imagine if I also did sports. But so Kota Shogaku.
It's sumo.
Are we? Can I take a quick tangent on being old now?
Yeah. Yeah, of
So
course.
we've all had the experience where like you go to sleep, you wake up, it's like, my neck is stiff. It hurts to like look behind me and stuff like that. And so I had that moment, but I had that moment as I was sitting still driving to work. Like never before had I just felt it all of a sudden tense up. And then I tried to look and I'm like, ow, this hurts. I was literally doing nothing. And now my body hurts.
Neck?
You have experienced age. Well done.
Yeah.
I think we've made the joke on the on our show before, but like I grunt sitting down sometimes,
Yes.
not like getting up from seated, you know. Well, I mean also that, but like in addition,
Like, oh, I'm like, yep. Everybody hear that? Yep. It's just like that commercial.
So January 2016.
Okay. Yes.
Kota Shogaku, he's an Ozeki. He burns through a lot of his his first 10 matches, which included most of the Sanyaku. He beat Kisei. I gotta get used to my my abbreviations that I use again because I haven't talked about these guys in ages. Kisei no Sato and Kakuryu.
You forgot
what?
Kisei no
No.
Sato?
I wrote down Kisei and I'm like,
Who else?
oh right, duh. I'm in the
Literally,
moment,
who
Brian.
else?
Was there another?
Normally, when I write that, I have the presence of mind to say his whole name, but this time I tongue-tied myself because we haven't talked about him in a while.
So another side effect
Get
of
off my
getting
back.
older, memory loss.
So, January 2016. What were we talking about? Kota Shogaku, he goes 10-0. So does Hakuho. They meet on day 11. And Kota Shogaku kind of kicks his ass. It was
Wait,
he like
what?
yeah, take a look. So January 2016, day 11, he beats Hakuho for the sole lead. Afterwards, Hakuho said he is better than he's ever been. I thought I had room to work with, but I was on the straw before I knew it. So yeah, by beating Hakuho, he has the sole lead, and he only has one loss after this, and surprisingly to Toyonoshima. Another like, you know, very solid wrestler by all means, but like he, after beating 3 Yokozuna back to back, and then he loses to Toyonoshima. Kind of
Isn't
funny.
he
Lot of
really
history.
good friends with Toyonoshima?
Yes.
Aren't they the ones who said they wouldn't retire until they like they were able to face off one more time, but then both their bodies failed,
And then
weren't
they
able to
just
do
didn't.
that.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting that the one Mar on his record that Basha was what seems like his
Mhm.
best friend, at least in sumo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mind games when you face up against someone you faced off before. Like
I'm
you can
pulling
like,
up the match now.
yeah, you can
Kota
like
Shogaku and
lose
Kisuno
to a
Sato
lot
have
of young
the
guns,
record.
but like if it's someone like, you know, you faced off a lot of times, they know your tricks. You can't
Yeah.
be as wily.
I love his stretch. I still love Koto Shogaku's stretch.
Yeah, it's kind of weird seeing that again. It's been a long time.
Mhm.
But yeah, so Kisuno Sato and Kota Shogaku have the record for 66 matches against each other. I doubt that will be broken anytime soon. But yeah, so anyways, Toyonoshima, longtime friend, part of the quote unquote 7 samurai that were the group that was considered the most hopeful to regain some of that Japanese dominance during the early 2000s when they were going through their dry spell. And obviously it worked out in Kota Shogaku's case.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you watching the match?
He destroyed him. You're right.
Oh yeah, Hakuho had no offense in that match. It was
No.
pure
He got the
Gaburi Yori
bumpy
all the
bump.
way. Yep.
Nothing but the bumpty bump.
If
Yeah, I
you
just watched it
watch
myself.
his match with Haruma Fuji as well is pretty good. But Hakuho said about that match against Haruma Fuji that it was perfect sumo. So pretty high praise there. But on day 15, if Kota Shogaku loses, he could potentially end up in a playoff against Hakuho. But who is there? Ryan, help me out. Who else would be at the top ranks that's there for just a clutch loss to give the glory to somebody else?
I don't know the answer, but based on this setup, it's 100% Goedo, and I have
Absolutely
zero doubt in my
Goedo.
mind.
Wow.
Absolutely Goedo. Goedo, you know, takes one for the team. But yeah, so which didn't end up mattering because Hakuho ended up with a 3rd loss later in the day. So But regardless, super dramatic. Obviously, everybody went completely nuts. By coincidence, Kota Shogaku's wedding was a week later, and he had 630 guests there. A week after breaking the streak, a former prime minister, like just absolute bonkers party and all that. Just huge deal. And this was, like we mentioned, just a little bit before we personally started watching, but this one moment, one of the biggest moments of the last 10 years here, breaking that streak. And after being built up as maybe Yokozuna, nope, he went 8-7 in his next tournament.
Yeah,
Bummer.
just for old time's sakes and to get a good hate on Goedo, I did watch Kota Shogaku
yeah, let's do it.
match against Goedo. Absolutely ass blasted him. Like,
Yeah, no,
well, it wasn't a contest.
Wait, Kaisei level of ass blasting?
What?
I don't know what that
What?
means. Oh,
Yeah.
because he sat on Bushozan.
Because he sat on Bushozan.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Jesus, did we
don't
not
know
just
what that
discuss memory loss here? Come on, guys.
Yeah,
when
Ryan,
you bring,
get it
when you
together.
bring the terms ass blasting into a conversation, you have to be very specific about what you're talking about.
That's why I said
That is very true.
Kaisei level.
Maybe it's
Man.
maybe a term we leave out next time, Ryan.
What are you talking about? This is a Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame.
You got to bring out the big guns. You got to ass blast the Hall of Fame.
Good Lord.
Having a good time, Fleric. You happy you showed up today?
I'm having a great time. Keep on talking about ass blasting with Kaisei.
We already mentioned that Sumo Kaboom put out their annual super racy episode, so we're like, you know what? Yeah, let's go for it. Let's try that too.
Let's ass blast.
Let's ass blast this one.
Oh
God, all right. All right, move on. Let's get the next nomination in here.
Yeah. One more fun fact about Kodo not fun really, but fact about Kodo Shogaku. Kind of like Tokushoryu, we talked about he won the Yusho, and then like a year later he was in Juryo. Kodo Shogaku won the Yusho as an Ozeki, and then a year later he was demoted down to Sekiwake. No, Yusho's not good for your career.
Turns out when you're old, you continue to get older.
And you know what? The trend is going to continue because my nominee that I am bringing out, picture two titans of the sport facing off for the first time in 4 years. Each one
Shodai and Goedo.
Picture two different titans facing off.
Michinojo and Shodai.
Picture silently in your mind two titans of sumo.
Ishiura Endo.
Silently in your head. All right.
Just out with it, Ryan.
Hakuho versus Tarano. I was trying to get like the flower language. Yeah. Hakuho's final.
Not enough ass blasting, Ryan. That's where you went wrong.
You're right. I did not
Get down and dirty, Ryan.
Oh my God,
Not-
let the man finish.
Hakuho versus Tarano Fuji, day 15, Nagoya 2020. What turned out to be Hakuho's final match. The two titans of sumo faced off at both 14-0 going into the final day. This is only the 6th time in history that undefeated Rikishi were squaring off against each other on day 15 to determine the Yusho. This win for Hakuho extended his record to 45 Yusho and 16 Zensho Yusho. It is the only matchup between these two Rikishi after Tarano Fuji returned to the top division. Their previous matchup before this was back in 2017. This match is known for Hakuho's yell of glee and excitement and probably just relief after that match, knowing that that was going to be the final match in his career. And even after the loss to Hakuho, Tarano Fuji was promoted to Yokozuna after this bout based on this basho and the basho previous to it. So we said goodbye to one Yokozuna in this match. We said hello to a new Yokozuna in this match. It is the final moment of the greatest sumo wrestler of all time, and it's a moment that lived up to his reputation and a moment that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
That's like
Got it all out.
your
Well
opinion,
done.
man.
Wait. Well, Flair,
Just
you need to
saying.
be stirring a drink when you say that, man.
No. That's you speak straight facts, almost as hard as Jake's facts that he was spitting out before.
He put a slight soft flowery edge on it, but they were still pretty hard.
They were
Yeah.
still pretty hard.
No, it's Hakuho. He's pretty good at sumo, and that match, you know, just watching these athletes, these when the pressure's on and they have to like just kind of like show up and like say I have to like win this match. All the pressure's on me. This is I've decided it's gonna be my last one, but like this is like the upstart. And just when they actually rise to the occasion and like pull through, it's just so beautiful to see. And that's just, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that match. It was just a great moment. We didn't know the whole context of it at the time, that was Hakuho's last match, or that Tarano Fuji was going to be promoted. But just kind of in hindsight, knowing all of that, it was just some good sumo to watch.
It was everything you could have wanted in a match. I agree, Fleric.
Right down to Hakuho getting chastised for something silly.
Correct. I mean, just as is tradition from the JSA.
But yeah, so that's a match where Hakuho won with mostly straightforward sumo. I think he got a good face slap in, possibly
the Kachiage going on.
Possibly an elbow shot at the Tachiai there. But this is the Hakuho that we saw. Oh, look, Sumo DB's down. I think it was the day before against Shodai where he like started way back on the Twar. It might have been 2 days before. Very tentative Tachiai, and it was because we know now he just did not trust, and we probably knew at the time, he did not trust that knee.
No.
It wasn't working for him, but for him to be able to come back against Tarano Fuji and face him mostly straight up, a little bit of tricks, but he lined up the Shikiri-san, and he went forward at the Tachiai, and to be able to beat Tarano Fuji, who is going to be defining the next few years of sumo wrestling, and be able to beat that man who is in his sumo wrestling prime, just shows how amazing Hakuho is, and I think a moment worthy of the Hall of Fame. Fleric, what is your nominee for our inaugural class of the Hall of Fame?
All right. When I think of a lot of my sumo, it's definitely through the perspective of just like my pure enjoyment and just like the emotions and the storylines that I feel. And I think back mostly like one of the biggest ones, like when we first started watching, which was when everything was like still new, trying to figure out what sumo is. And it was like 2016, like the end of it was Kyushu. And I think Kakri won that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was like a weird thing. I had no idea. It was like that was Ishiro's debut time, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he's really buff and he did really well. That's really cool." And I guess this guy named Kakri won. I guess he's good. I don't know. I don't know how ranks work or anything like this.
Yeah.
So I just literally didn't know anything. And then going into, I think it was the next one. I have all these tabs open because I need I am an old man.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an old man and I don't remember anything. That's what Google's for. So I don't have to remember. But after that was the Kiseno Sato, apparently like going like I think someone explained this, how Kiseno Sato just had a year of just nothing but Junyu shows the entire time as Ozeki.
He had like 12 Junyu shows before he won his first U show.
Yeah, it's so like it was just a whole time like, and I guess there was probably a lot of buzz like said like he's pretty good, right? We should probably give him Yokozuna anyways. But it sounds like the Yokozuna Deliberation Council was like, we want a U show. Let's get a U show. Keep on going until we can kind of see that. And it finally happened on the Hatsu 2017, like the second one I watched. You guys are talking about the Goeda one that was the first one, but I don't think I ever went back to watch that one.
Yeah, we got into it over the course of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second half of the year, roughly.
But there was a second one watching this guy named Kiseno Sato. I could, even like not really knowing, like it seems, Yokozuna promotion's pretty easy to do. This guy did it the second time I watched. But even then I can kind of just feel like just how much it meant to him, just kind of watching how that really felt. His camaraderie with Takayasu, they were definitely like really like hot at the same time. Takayasu was not yet Ozeki. He was like looks like Komusubi during the spa show, and he had like a 11-4. It was just kind of really, really engaging to watch. And then like the next time, like the default for getting Yokozuna promotion is 2 U shows in a row as Ozeki. But like they sometimes have they give you the promotion anyways if you do really well with Jun-U shows, as we saw with Tarano Fuji. But like the gold standard is 2 U shows in a row. And it felt like the very next one, like Kiseno Sato was coming in with something to prove. So it's like, you know what? Like I didn't get it before, but I am a top-notch Yokozuna, so I'm going to just give it my all, and I'm going to get another Yusho. And that's just what he ended up doing. And I think it came down to like the very last time. Was it playoff of some sort?
Yeah, he had to go to a playoff because didn't he get hurt and then he had to get right back up and wrestle again or something like that?
Yeah, I definitely remember the match with against Tarano Fuji, which is that was probably the one that got him his loss. And then it looks like he had
he
to
got
do
thrown real hard, real deep into the crowd there, and that's when that eventual career-ending shoulder injury came about.
Yeah, in hindsight, that was definitely a very huge moment on his career. But it was just such good drama because like he really wanted to win, and like on the very last day, he ended up losing. And this is also the first time I think I saw a playoff too. But like Kizuna Sato just rallied it together, and he got that Yusho. And it was just so important. And like when we talk about like Hollywood moments and like watching sports, you like watching sports in general, like you set up all the pieces and you hope like the good storylines and the cool things happen. But so many times they don't. But this was one of those times where just everything kind of came together. And like at that moment, I was like, that's when I was sold on sumo. Just like, oh man, this is like really fun stuff. So I'm gonna propose the 2 Yushos from Kizuna Sato. We're gonna not pay attention to afterwards, but the story, the journey up to where he got those 2 Yushos is just fantastic.
Yeah,
definitely worthy.
I think it's super cool too that like he got promoted. Yeah, you didn't get your 2 Yushos in a row, but we'll promote you to Yokozuna anyway. And he's like, screw that, I'm getting my 2 in a row anyways. I thought that was awesome.
He did it.
Yeah, and traditionally your debut at Ozeki or debut at Yokozuna, or even I guess like your debut at Juryo, there's a ton of ceremony in between the tournaments for like when you get promotions like from one major class to the next kind of a deal, that somebody making their Ozeki debut or Yokozuna debut or Juryo debut might have some lower expectations just because there's so much other stuff they got to do besides train in between their tournaments. So winning his first tournament as a Yokozuna is extra special and very, very cool.
And thus wraps up the theme that of our first nominees, that winning a Yusho is detrimental to your career.
Yeah.
We had within a year for all of these guys, one guy demoted down to Juryo, one guy losing his Ozeki rank, one guy retiring, and another guy missing over a year of action.
Yeah, Kizuna Sato, he flew too close to the sun. He got one, but he got greedy, went for the second one.
He went for the second one. That's too many.
I think he flew too close to the ground. Like, I think that was the problem.
Ooh, hard fact. Oh,
literal hard fact.
Yes.
Jake's that was such a hard fact. It retroactively went back and tore Kizuna Sato's pec in 2017.
Gravity,
he would have been fine in a different timeline, but I just had to go for it.
All right. So it is now our job to whittle down these 4 into our first 2 official inductees into the Grand Sumo Breakdown Miscellaneous Hall of Fame of whatever we want.
What do you say we each get 2 votes and just go through them, or how do you want to do it?
Do we want to make it you can't vote for your own nominee?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
And can you throw 2 votes onto one, or do they have to be on separate?
Ooh, I don't know.
Ooh.
I think they have to be on separate. I'd say.
They have to be.
Keep it simpler. Yeah.
All right, let's do this real quick. So who wants to throw a vote onto Tokushoryu's Yusho in 2020? All right, it got a vote. Who would like to throw a vote onto, for those not watching
maybe
on
we
YouTube.
should clarify this.
Hold on here.
I voted for Tokushoryu's Yusho.
And then awkwardly waited for other people to agree with you.
Oh, my connection might have went out, but I also voted for Tokushoryu.
Okay.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that one has 2. All right.
Glad to have you back.
Who wants to vote for Koto Shokiku's 2016 Yusho, the first by a Japanese wrestler in 10 years?
I max submit.
All right. So it looks like 1 vote for that one. Who would like to submit a vote for Hakuho's final match, his 14-0 versus 14-0 against Tarano Fuji?
Jake says aye.
As does Fleric.
All right. So this says 2. And then I can see how this is going to go. The Kizuna Sato's Yushos are going to get looks like 3 votes.
Yes. Hi.
Jake, Mac, and Ryan vote. Yeah.
All right.
One unanimous.
So then we need
We have a
a
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker vote between Tokushoryu's Yushos in 2020 and Hakuho's final match. So it comes down to Fleric, I think, because I submitted Hakuho's, Max submitted Tokushoryu. I voted for Tokushoryu. Jake voted for mine. Fleric is the only similarity between the two. So I think this comes down to Fleric on who he wants to put into the Hall of Fame and who he
Wow, who
thinks
better?
deserves
better?
to wait.
No pressure at all.
This is tough. This pains me. This hurts me deep inside.
Or Mac, do you want to change your vote off of Kodo Shokiku's and throw it onto one of these?
No, I love Koto Shogiku. I can't take it away from him.
All right.
There you go. Yeah, this very much pains me because I'm a big lover of Batman Tears, but the Hakuho of it all, I just can't deny it.
I thought for sure he was going Tokushoryu.
I thought so too.
All right, there you have it.
The facts were too hard.
Too hard.
I needed more flowery words.
And elbows.
In a process that we thought out very thoroughly before this episode recorded.
Clearly,
long before,
obviously.
we determined our first 2 inductees into the Grand Sumo Breakdown Miscellaneous Hall of Fame of whatever we want. They are Kisei no Sato's back-to-back Yushos in Hatsu and Haru of 2017, getting his Yokozuna promotion after a very long and deserved Ozeki career. And then we have Hakuho's final match, his 14-0 versus 14-0 match in the final day of Nagoya 2021 against Yokozuna would-be Tarano Fuji. There you have it, folks. It has been determined. If you have any complaints or arguments, hit us up on Twitter, send us an email, send us a voicemail. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people upset that Tokushoryu did not make it into the Hall of Fame, but it is not his final chance. We have yet to work out how it's going to work, but just because you didn't make it in on the first ballot doesn't mean that moment cannot be eligible in the future. So don't fear, Tokushoryu or Koto Shogiku fans. There is still a chance that they will make it into the Hall of Fame. We just have to figure out how that is.
Yep. We don't know how often we'll be doing this one. We don't know how many nominees we want to do in the future, but at least for this first one, we just said, you know what? Let's take 2, get the Hall of Fame built up a little bit, and you can nominate stuff again later. We'll decide how.
All right. So let's move on to our first 4 nominees and our first 2 inductees for the Hall of Shame. So Fleric, why don't you kick it off with your nominee for the Hall of Shame?
He looks awfully still. I think we might have
He
lost him
does.
again.
Did we lose him?
He's so focused. Fleric, are you
I'm
back?
guessing you guys can't hear me as I'm talking.
No, now we
got
can.
you.
I was like,
Okay,
uh-oh.
fantastic.
You're back, my
Yeah.
friend.
My good old internet service provider hasn't been the most stable, which is a shame.
What? A cable company underperforming?
How
Impossible.
dare they?
I just want work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's all,
All I want is the sum total of human knowledge at my fingertips at a second's notice.
At my whim.
Yeah. Come on, get on it.
Not
Anyways.
2 seconds, 1 second.
1 second. It's 2022, okay?
All right. So for the Hall of Shame, I once again looked back into the beginning of me watching sumo, and one of the things was the character that is Taka no Hana. He was
Ooh.
yeah, I know. He was the Yokozuna back in the 90s, and arguably, like one of the Japanese Yokozuna that was he was like super successful. He was a Dai Yokozuna. He got I think 22 Yushos, 20, somewhere around there.
I think 22.
And-
I think that's right.
Yeah, and he just also was just like super good, and he seems to kind of play the part of I am super Japanese and that I do stuff the sumo way. I don't know. I don't know too much about that, but he had a very successful career, and then he decided to go into the Oyakata system, try to grow in the ranks there. And he was definitely on wanting to change some stuff and also trying to get up to where he was kind of the guy running stuff as well. He was kind of very famous for wanting to do some changes in sumo, which I thought might be pretty good. He wanted to hey, I can have as many rikishi as you want. Kind of let people change. I think Hayes to like run more of like a gym style, maybe closer to what MMA is now. But he also like he was like really trying to break up the system of like how you vote for the directors, because right now there's like Ichimans where like all Hayes are like kind of in their own separate like Ichimans, like their own little separate groups.
Yep,
And
5 separate Ichimans.
Yeah, and when they all like vote for a director, pretty much everyone votes on party lines, like depending which one you're on. But he was just like, no, I'm gonna create my own Ichiman. We're gonna get these people together, and I'm gonna try to get people steal some votes so I can become director or some random stuff like that. And so he was like kind of like a maverick, just trying to shake stuff up and like had crazy ideas. But then like the whole Harumugazi of it all happened, where it's talking once again, like it like
Yeah.
it seemed to be standing behind this guy, like, okay, like his rickshaw was like he was injured during a party when that happened, and he was like, this is really messed up, we should probably look into this stuff.
Harumugazi, for those who might not know, is what we refer to the incident where Tarano Fuji beat Takanoiwa with a karaoke remote
Or beer
Yeah.
bottle. We're not sure.
Yeah, we're unsure on the implement, but Takanoiwa, the victim in the situation, was one of Takanohana's wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seemed to be kind of going pretty well until just the whole at least like he seemed to kind of understand this guy, until I think like Takanoiwa himself got like who was the one of the rickshaw underneath Takanohana, who just like, I think he might have gotten some altercation with another rickshaw, some kind of violence, inter-Heya violence. I honestly, unfortunately, don't remember the exact details.
He
But at
beat
that-
his Sukebito as well.
But it basically removed any high ground that Takanohana had to speak out against violence and made him look really silly.
Exactly. And he just, and at that point, he just kind of effectively just decided to leave sumo, because like, I guess he was so much shamed. But it's like, I'm trying to think of, well, talking to Sal, it kind of seems like, okay, I kind of understand like his he seems to be like that noble guy, but like
You're talking
above-
yourself out of it.
His
I almost
ideas
am.
themselves were like, I guess, you know, it depends on your perspective. His ideas themselves, I remember not being like, not too crazy, but like by becoming the face of trying to modernize sumo, or at least in his opinion, what modernizing sumo would be, definitely made him a pariah within the community. And then, yeah, I definitely feel like the whole violence against your Sukebitos, that whole period where that started becoming like the top story every month.
Almost commonplace.
That's when the tide seemed to turn from Takanohana being like potentially misunderstood reformer to like kind of crazy guy out for his own name in the headlines. You know, like
Yeah.
that's kind of the tide turned, and eventually he just kind of drifted away.
Yeah, and the big thing was, I think he just like was like way too, like the way he went about it was just way too aggressive about it, which pulls me into like whatever his personality is, which is just so interesting and just kind of just so crazy. Like there's some stories of like just like Waka Nohana, which was his brother Yokozuna. Apparently, like he tried to essentially kind of push him out of the family because like he wasn't strict enough or some weird stuff like that. He has a shoemaker son / folk singer, which he's very disappointed in at the same time. He has, yeah. There's some videos of his son, like he has like he wanted to be a shoemaker, and like he has some folk videos where he was like sing some folk songs as well.
Huh.
And like there's definitely some drama in his household and he's just a very crazy personality. He has crazy fashion, and right now I think the tip of it that just makes me so like, after he left sumo, he just kind of apparently got into the variety show circuit in Japan, and now he's like in tea shop commercials at the same time, and it's just he's just a funny looking character. So I am going to include this guy, I think mostly because the way I think I think he had a good heart, but he went about it all wrong, and now he's just a very funny looking individual. I think he deserves a little bit of shame.
I love the way that you put this on the outline too. Your only note is the Takanohana of it all. And
No,
I think
it's perfect.
That's a great way. There's no specific incident. There's just like a whole weird
A multitude.
years-long storyline.
Yeah, he's an interesting character.
All right, for my nominee, picture 2 titans of
Oh, God, here we go.
Actually, don't do any of that. All right, I'm gonna start with the cold, hard-hitting facts. Hopefully, I'm not gonna go back and injure any Yokozuna and force them to retire retroactively. But here we
I
go.
will take all the blame.
Yeah.
I take responsibility.
Back in Natsu of 2019, Tochinoshin was a Sekiwake this basho, and he needed 10 wins to secure his re-promotion back to the rank of Ozeki. He begins the Natsu 2019 basho 7-0, but he falters week 2 and enters day 14 matchup against Kakuryu with a 9-4 record coming off of 3 straight losses. Kakuryu is 10-3. And is 2 wins behind 12-2 Asanoyama, who had won earlier in the day. If Kakuryu wins this match against Tochinoshin, he is likely going to be matched up against Asanoyama on day 15, and if he beats Asanoyama, they will have a playoff to determine the Yusho. If Kakuryu loses this match, Asanoyama enters day 15 as the Yusho winner. So there is a lot on the line in this matchup, and there's also, of course, the unspoken rule that you do not hanka Yokozuna.
It's absurd.
One does not simply hanka
The
Yokozuna.
very idea.
It turns out you very simply hanka a Yokozuna. It's just that easy. Tochinoshin hilariously steps aside, hankas the Yokozuna Kakuryu to secure his promotion back to the Ozeki rank, a win which he sorely needed because he would lose his day 15 matchup and finish that basho 10-5. It is a moment which causes me to burst out into laughter, as it's one of the funniest things I have ever seen. Many fans of Tochinoshin turned their back on him after this hilarious or incredibly disrespectful display of sumo, depending on your perspective. So those are the cold, hard facts of the moment. You don't
hanka Yokozuna.
You don't hanka Yokozuna when Ozeki promotion and Yushos are on the line. And here Tochinoshin goes doing that. And here's my reckless speculation. If Tochinoshin fights straight up based on the trajectory of the basho, he probably loses that match. Kakuryu would have gone on to fight Asanoyama, could have easily beaten him twice in the same day. Kakuryu could have 7 Yusho wins. Asanoyama now has no Yusho to his name, and who knows if he can secure the Ozeki promotion that he got just a year later without the momentum that he received from that Yusho. Likely could have stayed the same, but maybe that Yusho put a little bit more fire under his ass and made him do better in the further tournaments. And then Tochinoshin begins dropping down the Bansuke 2 basho later than he actually, or he begins dropping down the Bansuke 2 basho sooner than he actually did, as he did not get back up to Ozeki, which he only held for 2 basho, where he got back-to-back losing records and dropped down again. So if Tochinoshin had 2 more basho where he could be dropping down the Bansuke, he could be in Juryo at this point in time. And being a former Ozeki with bad knee health, Tochinoshin could easily have already been retired at this point in his career had he not hilariously hanked Kakuryu and altered not really the course of sumo history, but just slightly these 3 guys' careers.
Where's J-Wags? We need the hanka.
The shadow of the henka.
The shadow of the
hanka of Kakuryu.
If I recall, isn't this the one where I said that I would name my firstborn child after this henka because I loved it so much?
Tochinoshin hankas Kakuryu or something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I think Fleric, I think I can speak for you as well here, but like a good henka is just it's something.
A good henka when we are deciding ranks and Yushos, even better.
Yes.
And for it to be against a Yokozuna where you're just not supposed to do that. It
turns out it's not any more complicated than henkaing anyone else.
Yeah, just as easy. But for all of that to be on the line, I think it's one of the most 2 memorable henkas there is.
The other one being a very near pick for me.
I'm sure it'll be on our Hall of Shame list.
It will
or
be.
Hall of Fame list very soon.
Yeah. But yeah, I had 2 potential Kota Shogoku shame picks that I was looking at. One of them was the as we shall no longer speak of it, the henka that does not
the henka that does not need to be named.
Yeah, look that up. It was Tarano Fuji versus Koto Shogaku for any
Stop
listeners
it!
unfamiliar.
Quit
Just in
bringing
case,
it up!
in case anyone's unfamiliar with it, it's a big deal. But the other potential Koto Shogaku one that I thought about listing here was his quote after winning that Yusho. He said, "All the Japanese wrestlers want to win championships, but sumo is about winning." Which, one, that doesn't make any sense.
No, not quite.
But then second, his follow-up is, maybe we Japanese are too set in our ways. Maybe we lack the greed to win at all costs. We can learn from them. As in
Wow.
the
Subtle
the
racism.
Mongolians.
Yes. Wow.
That is like, your favorite Yokozuna getting Henked to miss out on a Yusho levels of salt production there. Like that is some salty stuff right there. Anyways, though, as long as we have like the same couple people that we're talking about each time, my actual nomination, as I spoiled earlier, is Kakuryu's final match of his entire career, going up against Endo. They have let's see, this is shoot, I didn't write down the date, and now Sumo DB is down. Sometime long in the past. It was day
In the
one.
before times.
I want to say July 2020.
That sounds about right, but it was day one. It was day one of that tournament. And Kakuryu and Endo, like they tie up. Kakuryu actually kind of has like a decent position. But then
Confirmed July 2020.
I was just pulling that up.
but Kakuryu actually has kind of a decent position, but then he goes for a leg sweep and kicks at nothing because Endo's foot is in the air, and he absolutely Charlie Browns himself. Kakuryu ends up on the ground. Whether it's his pride or his legs, decides to pull out with injury.
I think it was his elbow.
Elbow? Okay.
I think that was the cited cause.
that could actually
I'm
make sense
rewatching.
because he did kind of land on his elbow pretty hard, but like regardless
Oh
of
yeah, no, it's his elbow.
regardless of which parts of him are hurt, which honestly, as a sumo wrestler, probably all of his parts, he never wrestles again. He gets a Fusen loss the next day, sticks it out. Well, kind of like on paper, sticks it out for a few more tournaments before retiring. But just the just comedy of errors. And obviously I'm not going to tell a Yokozuna how to do sumo, but it was so silly how he like, if you watch it back in slow motion, he kind of like has a good side grip on Endo and is able to push him away, putting all of Endo's weight on the far foot. And then he tries sweeping the near foot that has no weight on it anyways in the best case scenario. But in the worst case scenario, that foot isn't even on the ground. So he just sweeps at nothing, turns himself flat on his ass.
You could be playing for Endo to push back forward, putting
Like I
that
said,
weight on the front foot.
I'm not gonna pretend that I know the full thinking
Like
there.
3D chess.
Yeah. I'm not gonna pretend I know the full strategy there, but like to me, it just seemed kind of silly that like he swept at the foot that didn't have all the weight on it, or at least like it seemed premature. It seemed like it was a step that he needed another intermediate step. And I'd love if somebody's listening to this and has analyzed this match, I'd love to hear more from a more well-trained perspective. But as far as individual match performances go, that one is etched in my permanent memory as just a hilarious cock up. And it's sad that it ended his career, but like it's also pretty funny.
A hilarious what?
Cock up. He cocked it up.
As in
That's-
Kakuryu
oh!
cocked it up.
Yeah,
I
I
got
thought
it.
that was pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
I
got it
appreciate that,
now.
Mac. Thank you.
The light bulb going on over Ryan's head is just priceless.
We weren't expecting the
Oh.
humor, just cold hard facts.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
sorry, I diverged from my normal style. I'll stay in my lane. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyways, though, we have one more nomination for the Hall of Miscellaneous Shame of whatever we
Of
want.
shame.
Yes, of shame.
Picture, if you will, a titan, a phenom in his own right, about to cap a well-meaning, wonderful, fantastic career.
You should write these out if you're going to go for this kind of thing, Mac.
I know that I'm just dramatic and I'm trying to build everything up. No, okay, so this one, Hakuho going against Toby Zaru, day 7, July. What the hell happened? So Hakuho gets set, gets ready, and Toby Zaru is 3 feet back from the Shikiri Sen and gets down. We think, okay, he's going to be taking a running start, a running charge against Hakuho. Ill-advised, but okay, maybe this is going to work. So, Yoji, everybody, fist down. Hakioi. Toby Zaru stands up. And the Gyoji is so confused, he calls Amada. Like, okay, let's begin this again.
Yeah, like neither guy moved forward. They just both stood straight
They both
up.
just stood straight up, like, okay. Like listening back in Jason's channel was like, what? And listening to I think it was Rob Morita was like just silence, like, okay, we begin again. So they begin again. And what does Toby Zaru do? 3 feet back from the Shikiri Sen, stands up again. The Gyoji has enough of this bullshit and says, go! And they start fighting. Is it a Takakeisho level match where Hakuho beats his chest and invites him to attack him? No.
Actually, I'm literally watching it, and as you say it, Hakuho stands up. He like raises his arms up like real quick, just kind of like come at me. It's like real quick, but kind of.
I think he did do a little bit of that, yeah.
But it wasn't to the level of Takakeisho where it's like ready for that challenge. With Toby Zaru, he's like, I'm ready for this shit to be over with.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Toby Zaru does a half-hearted sumo match where he just it wasn't boxing. There was no grappling. There was nothing.
It wasn't a sumo match. It was like a half-hearted attempt at a Greco match, I guess. Like
exactly. And it was like this is the wrong wrestling. This is the wrong sport. What are you doing?
For a moment, I thought they were gonna do the WWE like test of strength. Like,
it's like somebody's gonna fight. Sting is gonna come in from the rafters, just parachute down. I mean, something was going to happen, but this was not a sumo match.
I'm now at the second point in the match where Hakuho's tired of Toby Zaru's crap and is just standing straight up, waiting for Toby Zaru to do anything. And as I'm talking, he still hasn't done anything.
Exactly.
Now
Toby Zaru like tried to be like, no, Yokozuna, you come wrestle me.
You come after me. And Hakuho's like, I'm the Yokozuna, you little shit.
I forgot how
you have to
awful
attack
that
me.
was.
It's just painful. This is not sumo, and this is not what you do against a Yokozuna like Hakuho.
The Takakeisho one was like kind of fun, I thought.
That was epic.
Dramatic.
Takakeisho's was epic. This
one, Toby Zaru, was just kind of like, I don't want to start. You do it.
Yeah.
You don't do that to the king.
I think this might be where our tastes kind of differ for sumo matches, Mac, because I thoroughly enjoyed this match.
That's fine.
I enjoyed
that's your
novelty
opinion,
of it.
man.
Yeah.
So
That's
Flaric,
fair.
we are trying to memorialize this moment into a hall. Do you think it deserves Hall of Fame more than Hall of Shame? We're still trying to memorialize it.
This is definitely Hall of Fame. This was like, okay, so like obviously Toby Zaru came with a strategy, which is like, I'm going to avoid the Tachi because I don't want to get an elbow in my face from the Hakuho, which is, is a very smart thing to do. And also, like, it's a crazy thing, like where the Yokozuna, like he can kind of goad people into attacking them, which is like saying, I get to reactively respond to you. And like, he's going to be really good at that because he has a whole big bag of tricks for being a Yokozuna for like many, many years. And Toby Zaru was trying not to play his game, but eventually he got goaded into it to make that happen. So I thought it was very different. There's like some very cool strategy to it. And I love it when Hakuho has some attitude. He stands up and he says like, come at me, bro. Come at me. And you just have to respond. You can't say no.
But that wasn't in challenge. That was disgust.
Those are some nice words and thoughts you're putting up there, Flaric. He was fighting scared. That's what it was.
He came into a strategy where he was not favored, and he had a strategy to go against it. He had a strategy for a match he was not favored.
It's fair to say that he had a plan, technically.
But Rob Morita was confused. Jason was confused. I mean, even in Jason's channel, he's like, what just happened? Like, what is this?
Kentama Yama had a similar comment. He's like, I have never seen anything like that one.
That's what I mean. It's like, you confuse people that have been watching the sport for ages and going, what the hell was that?
Which is fair. Like, I can get that my sumo tastes are a little bit different from yours, but I just think it's kind of funny how we are both on the different spectrum of this.
Agreed. I just think that it's funny that like I see this possibly being the first thing nominated for both halls if Flaric is if Flaric really means that. But no, regardless, I loved watching it. I was very entertained, but it was because of the novelty of it. And
yes,
the silliness, which I think is kind of what the Hall of Shame is for.
We have 4 moments / people that all deserve some level of shame, but only 2 of them will rise into the Hall of Shame. We will do the same voting
Shame?
style as we did last time. Everybody will have 2 votes that they can send to any nominee. So who would like to vote for Takano Hana going into the Hall of Shame?
Jake Wood.
Mac would.
All right, we got Jake and Mac for Takano Hana. For Toyonoshima, Henka in Kakuryu to secure his re-promotion to Ozeki and sealing the Yusho for Asanoyama in Natsu 2019. Who would like to vote for that one?
I'll vote for that one.
Jake and Fleric. All right, for Kakuryu whiffing Endo's foot in what turns out to be his final match. Who would like to vote for that?
Mac would.
I'm voting for that one.
I would as well.
All right, so that's a 4 for
votes there.
that one's going in.
Hell
And
yeah.
then for Toby Zaru, completely foregoing any and all forms of sumo against Hakuho and confusing the heck out of all who watched. Who is voting for that? I will throw my second vote onto that train.
There you go. So we're in the exact same situation we were before. Maybe we should have thought about the fact that we keep doing things by votes and there's an even number of us.
But Jake, it would appear you have the tie-breaking vote this time, as you are the common vote between
Aha.
the 2 nominees.
Oh,
So-
in that case, that's no question. I had a clear front runner of these 2 between Takano Hana and the Toyonoshima Henka.
Oh, it's got to be.
It's the Henka.
Yeah,
Oh
I was
my
about to
God.
say, it's gotta be the
It's for
Henka.
sure the Henka. Yeah.
That's fair.
Is it little Toyonoshima, Henki, and Kakuryu Poyer?
Yeah, exactly. I definitely oh geez, I'm sorry, Mac. I didn't vote for either of yours. I voted
it's
for
okay.
Ryan's thing and
It's all right.
Flair's thing both. Sorry, but anyways, I did kind of want to part of the reason I voted for the Takano Hana one was like, I just think that one is like more of like a bigger deal, like as far as consequences and all that goes, but like I can't vote against that Hank. Oh my god.
Don't worry. Takano Hana will have his chance to get into the Hall of Shame.
As
In
will that
6
Toby
months,
Zaru match.
in
As
one
with the
year.
Toby's- whether it's fame or shame, it will be
Yes.
there.
Exactly. So there you have it, folks. The first 4 inductees into the Grand Sumo Breakdown Hall of Fame / Shame of whatever we want. Going into the Hall of Fame, Hakuho's final match against Tarano Fuji and Kisei no Sato's back-to-back Yushos in 2017. Going into the Hall of Shame, Toyonoshima, Henka and Kakuryu in Natsu of 2019, and Kakuryu whiffing Endo's foot in what turns out to be his final match. Sorry, Kakuryu, we love you, but funny things happen to you.
you may have the true heart of the Yokozuna as we've had on previous episodes, but you are also just hilarious.
So, Jake, we need 4 8.5 by 11s printed off with these on there and tape them up to your wall so that they are
Like I'm paying for printer ink. Come on.
Put them next to what makes a sandwich, the rules of a sandwich.
Yeah.
Yes, the 10 commandments of defining a hot dog. Yeah, the other extensive topics that we've delved into for hours on end in the past.
So there you have it, folks. If you agree or disagree on our choices for the Hall of Fame or Shame, I have a daughter. It's been a long day.
You're gonna milk that one for like
Yep.
40
18 years.
Yeah. No, don't. You won't stop when she moves out.
No, you know you're not.
If you agree or disagree with our nominees or selections, let us know
1v1 us
on-
IRL. Call us out.
Yep.
We will
Call us
find you.
out.
Yep.
Call us out on Twitter. Call us out through email, grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com.
Show up at
send us-
Fleric's house.
Fleric, what's that address again for people who want to 1v1?
Is 1, 2, 3, go fuck yourself.
There it is. There's the one F-bomb we
Avenue.
allow per episode.
Yep.
Avenue.
1980s rule.
Or you could leave us a voicemail. Mac, what is that voicemail number?
805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
And also leave your agreements and disagreements with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service. I mean, why not?
And, you know, we're on the YouTubes as well. If you want to get in a little fight on YouTube as well, I'm sure Ryan would be more than happy to oblige.
I will internet fight anybody about sumo. Literally anybody. We yell at John Gunning all the time. We're not afraid of you.
That's true.
So
That's not really that fair, though.
No. He doesn't respond anymore.
He's taking a bit of a break. There's 4 of us. There's just one of him.
I mean, we have to go down to Texas to get some semblance of any kind of fight from anybody. And really, we had to go to a bar to find it. I mean, a bar in Texas. Come on, guys.
I mean, if you're going to look for a fight, a bar in Texas sounds about like the right place.
Yeah,
to
but
go.
it's a dime a dozen. They're a dime a dozen.
Oh, well, there will be some more interstate sumo related verbal violence coming up in a little bit. They did just have the 16th annual Texas Classic Sumo tournament down there in San Antonio, Mac.
Yep.
So next weekend, so by the end of the month, we will have a review with Sumo and Sake discussing that tournament and what's to come in local amateur sumo in the U.S.
The Bansuke is also dropping this coming Sunday, February 28th. So a few days after that, we will have my review of the Bansuke, see how it stacks up against what I predicted the Bansuke would look like. And then just a week after that, we will have our preview for the Haru Basho, where we will have 2 Kadoban Ozeki and 1 new Ozeki. And that Basho will be starting on Sunday, March 13th. So it is almost time for sumo again, baby.
I missed it.
In the meantime, I'm glad we had this sumo story time with just that little bit of animosity for voting and stuff like that. It filled a need for me for this month for sure.
Now I have another story that we could do, or we could wait for the preview. How do you guys
We'll save
feel
it
about
for
a
the
little?
preview.
I can get the lights down. It's okay.
Let's save it for the
No,
preview.
I've warmed up my voice. This is all good. I'm happy to share.
Are you breaking out the erotica already, Mac?
Oh yeah.
Oh god. Okay. All right. Where's the record button?
Right.
That'll do
Get
it.
us out. Get us out.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
Throw your salt high.
And keep moving forward.